How many mosques are member of Rochdale Council of Mosques?
So we currently have 19 masjids who are members. When we talk about the mosques that are not members, it's not for the reason of they don't wish to become a member. I think sometimes it's that they're waiting for a bit more information from ourselves. There's a certain criteria. Obviously, you have to be a mosque and do the 5 daily prayers in the congregation to become a member, but it's open to all the masjids.
What would you say to someone like myself that doesn't have that much knowledge about Rochdale Council of Mosques? As a mosque, what are the benefits for the mosque to become a member?
Right, so and it's a really, really valid question, because, you know, if we're asking a mosque to become a member, the mosque needs to know, well, actually, what you're doing. So I'd say the reasons why we need that membership, or the benefits for you as membership, is, first of all, we can coordinate training. So training in terms of first aid, training in terms of health and safety, training in terms of marshalling, student behaviour. That's all training that we would have that is accredited and is acknowledged as being training that's accepted. So, for example, safeguarding training has to be done every 3 years, and you have to have a certificate for that. So we can ensure that the level of training is professional and is then acceptable. So, for example, if a complaint's made around safeguarding for a mosque, we can advocate on behalf of that mosque. And I do that quite regularly. I speak to the local authority designated officer. Complaints are sometimes received from schools, sometimes from parents, sometimes from individuals. We have some of that expertise that we can deal with those issues. And sometimes it's not about pointing the finger, it's about learning. And if, you know, something has fallen, the policy is not being followed correctly, we can advise as to what needs to be done for that. That's one aspect. The second aspect is you become, as a body, a much more powerful influencing voice. So, for example, you know, I would say out of the 19 mosques, we have a regular congregation on Fridays of 19,000. They're all members of RCM, whether you agree with it or not, because you attend the mosque that has given us the mandate to speak on your behalf, you're actually a member. So whenever you raise something with your own particular mosque, your own committee, that can be raised at an RCM level, where we can then portray that to, whether it's with the local authority, with the police, with the GM Mayor, with our MP. You have a much stronger platform to have that voice. It's not about this Nadeem show that Nadeem goes and meets there. I represent the voices of the Muslim community of Rochdale. And you have a say in that through your own mosque. But you have to participate in the mosque. I think one of the common misconceptions is that people say to me, well, it's a closed shop, the mosque. You can't get into the mosque. You know, your face has to fit. Whenever we want to try and change something in the mosque, we just don't get a look in. What I say back to those individuals is, what have you done for your mosque? What have you volunteered? What have you brought forward? What have you presented as an initiative, say, for example, and what have you put into developing that initiative and running that? Because there's very few mosques that will turn initiatives down if it's for the benefit of the wider community. But you have to engage. I think it's easy sometimes from the outside for us to complain. And what I always say is that first and foremost, we need to be grateful to our forefathers who made the biggest sacrifice. We've made no sacrifices, to be honest with you. The biggest sacrifices were made by our forefathers, who were earning £8-9 a week. £2 they would give to the masjid. They would look after their families here. They would look after their families back home. But they established our foundations. It's now our role to take it to that next level. And I think that's where RCM comes into its own, that we have the knowledge, we have the skills to be able to interact with the systems and processes that govern us. Because the days are gone now of no accountability. At one time, mosques could operate, there was no accountability. Most mosques now are charities. You've got terms, you've got conditions. You must meet them. And we cannot rely on "I did not know" as an excuse. So this is where we come into our own, that we have that professional overview, we have that skill, we have that ability, we can advise and we can guide.